Your phone is vibrating on the desk. You aren't busy. You aren't in a meeting. You are literally staring at the screen, watching the numbers flash, counting the seconds until it finally stops and goes to voicemail. Once the silence returns, you feel that sudden, massive wave of relief, immediately followed by a strange, lingering guilt. You wait exactly 3 minutes, to make it look believable, of course, and then you text them, "Hey, sorry, just saw this. What's up?" Let's stop pretending this is just being busy or missing a notification. It's not. It's a specialized form of modern neurobiological anxiety that most people are too loud to understand. This is the psychology of people who hate making phone calls. Be honest with me for a second. Why does a simple 10-digit number feel like a live grenade in your pocket? Why does the thought of a ringing phone trigger the same fight-or-flight response as a predator in the wild? To understand this, we have to look at the wreckage of our own social evolution. In clinical terms, we are talking about sensory deprivation anxiety. You see, humans evolved for millions of years to communicate through eyes, hands, and microexpressions. Research suggests that up to 90% of our social data is nonverbal. We are built to read the twitch of a lip, the dilation of a pupil, and the subtle shift in a person's posture. When you're on the phone, you're flying blind. Your brain is desperately trying to navigate a social minefield with its eyes ripped out. You can't tell if that half-second of silence on the other end is a smile, a judgmental stare, or someone rolling their eyes at your last sentence. It's exhausting. Your prefrontal cortex is working overtime, running a billion simulations a second, trying to fill in the blanks that a simple face-to-face conversation would solve instantly. This isn't just shyness, it is a massive cognitive tax that your brain is refusing to pay. You are a human cat protecting your energy, and the phone is a predator trying to drain it. But let's get into the more cynical reason we avoid the call button. It's about the loss of the edit button. We have become addicted to asynchronous communication. In a text message, you are a god. You can type, delete, rephrase, and polish your identity until it's perfect. You have total control over the narrative of who you are. But a phone call? A phone call is live. It's raw. It's unedited. There's no backspace in a real-time conversation. If you stumble over a word, if you have an awkward pause, or if you say something that sounds slightly stupid, it's out there. It's permanent. To a generation raised behind a glowing screen, the phone isn't a tool for connection. It's a vulnerability leak. We don't hate the person calling. We hate the fact that we can't curate ourselves in real time. We are terrified of being unmasked as the flawed, stumbling humans we actually are. Stop. Be real with me. Look at your call history right now. How many of those missed calls were actually strategic retreats? You aren't shy. You're just a territorial animal defending its sovereignty. A phone call is a digital home invasion. It's someone kicking down the door of your focus and demanding your attention right now, without an appointment, without a heads up, and without your permission. Your human cat instinct kicks in. You don't want to be touched, and you certainly don't want to be forced to perform for someone else's schedule. Is it just me, or has the ringing of a phone become the most intrusive, aggressive sound in the 21st century? Think about the information gap. This is the underlying fear that someone might ask us a question that we aren't prepared to answer immediately. On a call, you are trapped in the now. You don't have time to Google a fact, consult a friend, or think of a clever excuse. You are exposed. This uncertainty and tolerance is a glitch in our psychological code. We have become so used to the safety of the digital shield that the real world feels like a threat. We've traded depth for convenience, and it's making us socially fragile. We're like zoo animals that have forgotten how to hunt in the wild. We only know how to eat what's delivered through a screen. But here is the sulcal no stomacal, the punch to the gut you've been waiting for. If you can't handle a 30-second phone call without your heart rate hitting 120, you aren't just a true introvert, you are losing your grip on human reality. You are letting your digital cage become your sanctuary. You think you're protecting your peace, but you're actually atrophying your soul. Independence is a strength, But isolation fueled by fear is a prison. You were built for the quiet truth, yes, but you were also built to survive the noise. If you spend your whole life avoiding the vibration, you'll eventually find yourself in a world where nobody bothers to call at all. And trust me, that silence is much heavier than a ringing phone. We need to talk about the digital leash. Other generations remember a world where, if you weren't home, you were simply unreachable. There was a sacredness to that absence. But now the human cat is expected to be always on. This constant demand for availability is what created this phobia in the first place. It's a rebellion. By not answering, you are reclaiming your right to be invisible. You are saying, my time is mine, and you don't have a key to my head just because you have my number. It's a powerful stance, but it comes with a high price. The slow erosion of the high perceptual sensitivity that used to define our species. We are becoming experts at subtext in text, but amateurs at the subtext of a human voice. Look, I get it. The modern world is a sensory assault. It's too loud, it's too bright, and it's far too fake. Disengaging is a survival tactic. You would rather have one honest conversation at midnight than 1,000 fake ones at lunch. But don't let the social mask become so thick that you can't even breathe when the phone rings. You are the bridge generation, the ones who know how to survive both the analog and the digital. Use that power. Don't hide behind it. I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you actually have a valid reason for hating calls, or are you just addicted to the safety of the screen? Are you a human cat defending your territory, or are you just a barker who lost their voice? Drop a "deal with it" in the comments if you're brave enough to admit you were staring at the phone while it rang today. But speaking of things that make us feel trapped and guilty, there's a reason why your brain treats walking out of a store empty-handed like a federal crime. It's a specific psychological glitch involving the rule of reciprocity that most people are too loud to understand. It's the same reason you act extra natural when passing a security guard. Click here to see why nothing feels like a sin in the modern world. I'll see you there. Let's go deeper into the mechanics of this dread. Why does the ringing sound itself trigger such visceral disgust? It's because the phone is a synchronous demand in an asynchronous world. We have become accustomed to the luxury of time. When someone sends you a message, they are leaving a package at your doorstep. You can open it when you're ready. You can inspect it. You can decide if you want to respond at all. But a phone call? A phone call is someone banging on your front door with a megaphone. It is an immediate demand for your cognitive resources. In the corporate world, this is where meritocratic skepticism comes into play. You know that half the calls you receive could have been an email. You know that the person calling is likely wasting your time because they are too lazy to type out their thoughts or too disorganized to plan their day. The human cat has zero patience for this corporate noise. You see the vibration, and you see a lack of respect for your flow state. You see an intrusion, and so you disengage. You refuse to participate in the performance. This isn't just about anxiety. It's about a high-level survival code that values efficiency over social niceties. Yet, we must acknowledge the psychological cost of this digital fortress. When we stop talking, we stop practicing the art of tone. The human voice carries frequencies that a font can never replicate. There is empathy in a sigh. There is truth in a hesitation. By avoiding the phone, we are effectively lobotomizing our own emotional intelligence. We are becoming psychologically self-sustained, but at what cost? We are building territorial resets that are so impenetrable that even the people we love can't get in. Have you ever noticed how a cat can sit in a cardboard box for hours? That is your low cortical arousal threshold. You need the silence. You need the sacred box to recharge your internal battery. But the phone is a hole in that box. It is a leak in your sanctuary. This is why the reaction is so violent. It's not about the person on the other end. It's about the preservation of the self. Your home is the only place where the social mask finally comes off, and the phone is the only thing that can put it back on without your consent. But let's look at the subtext radar. You are a human cat because you observe the shadows before you move. You observe the subtext before you speak. You can smell a lie before it's even told. This high perceptual sensitivity is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it makes you a human lie detector. On the other, it makes the raw, unedited nature of a phone call terrifying. You are afraid that you will hear something you don't want to hear, or worse, that you will reveal something you didn't want to say. You'd rather have one honest conversation at midnight than 1,000 fake ones at lunch, but the phone feels like 1,000 fake ones happening simultaneously in your ear. This is the internalized identity of the bridge generation. You don't need the world to like you to know who you are. You are content in your own skin. But independence shouldn't be a cage. It should be the foundation from which you interact with the world. Protecting your peace is an act of survival, but surviving isn't the same as living. You were built for the quiet truth, but that truth loses its power if it's never spoken. So the next time the phone vibrates, don't just stare at it with disdain. Don't let it trigger the feral instinct. Recognize it for what it is, a primitive tool in a modern world. You don't have to answer every call, but you should ask yourself why you're so afraid of the one you do. You are not broken for wanting to be left alone. You are just calibrated for depth. But depth requires breadth, and sometimes you have to come to the surface and talk. If you felt this in your soul, if you've ever sat in the death valley of a ringing phone just waiting for the silence to return, drop a "deal with it" in the comments. We are the human cats. We are the ones who know how to disappear. We are the last ones who remember a world without a digital leash. And at the end of the day, the only person you can truly count on is yourself. But that doesn't mean you have to be the only person you ever hear. Stay feral, stay observant, stay unfiltered. I'll see you in the next breakdown.